If getting out of a chair feels harder than it used to, you're not imagining it. A lot of people over 60 tell me the same thing. They wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, and before they even stand up, they already feel it. Heavy legs, weak thighs, stiff knees. Sometimes even that little shake in the legs that makes you wonder, what's happening to my body? And for many people, the scariest part is not the pain, it's the fear of falling, the fear of losing independence little by little. But here's something most people never hear. In many cases, this is not just about getting older. It's not simply that your muscles disappeared overnight. What I've seen over and over again is that the connection between the brain and the legs slowly starts getting weaker. The signal just isn't as strong as it used to be. Your brain tells your legs to move, but the message arrives late, weak, almost fuzzy. That's why some people still have muscle, but their legs feel unstable or disconnected. In this video, we're going to talk about how to wake those muscles back up safely without destroying your knees with heavy workouts. Welcome to the Senior Health Channel. If you enjoy calm, practical health advice made for real people over 60, make sure you subscribe and stay with us. A lot of seniors ignore the early warning signs because they think, well, I'm just getting older. But honestly, the body usually starts whispering long before it starts screaming. Maybe your legs shake a little when you stand up from the couch. Maybe your thighs feel strangely heavy after walking through the grocery store. Some people notice their knees feel weak going downstairs, or their body feels stiff for those first few seconds after standing. I hear these stories almost every day, and one simple thing I often ask people to try is this. Sit near the edge of a chair and slowly lift one leg straight out in front of you for a few seconds. That tiny shaking many people feel? That's not always normal age. Sometimes it's a sign the nervous system is losing communication with the muscles. The brain is trying to send the signal, but the connection is weaker than it used to be. And when that happens, the legs start feeling unreliable. That's why some seniors say, my legs just don't feel like mine anymore. The important thing is catching these signs early before weakness turns into falls, injuries, or loss of independence. Here's what many people don't realize. In a lot of cases, weak legs after 60 are not just about losing muscle. The real problem often starts inside the nervous system. I usually explain it to my patients like this. Imagine your brain and your leg muscles are connected by thousands of tiny phone lines. When you're younger, those lines are clear and fast. The signal moves instantly. You think about standing up, and your legs respond right away. But over time, especially after years of inactivity, those communication lines start getting weak. The signal becomes fuzzy, delayed, inconsistent. And that changes everything. Research actually shows many older adults can lose up to 30% of their quadriceps strength, not because the muscle completely disappeared, but because the brain is no longer fully activating those muscle fibers. That's why some people still have decent-sized legs, but they feel unstable, shaky, or disconnected when they walk. The muscle is still there. The problem is the connection. Honestly, this is one of the biggest reasons traditional advice fails seniors. People keep saying, just work harder, but if the brain and muscles aren't communicating properly, pushing harder often makes frustration worse. What the body really needs is to rebuild that connection slowly and safely. And the good news is, the nervous system can still adapt, even later in life. One thing that honestly frustrates me is how many older adults are told to train like they're still 30 years old. I've seen seniors pushed into heavy squats, intense leg presses, and painful workouts that leave their knees swollen for days. And then they start believing their body is simply too far gone. But most of the time, that's not true at all. The problem is the approach. After 60, the joints have already been carrying decades of wear and tear. The cartilage is thinner. The lower back is more sensitive. Piling heavy weight onto the body without rebuilding stability first can actually make weakness worse. I've had patients tell me they felt stronger mentally after the gym, but physically, they could barely get out of the car afterward. That's not real progress. What older bodies usually need is not punishment. They need reconnection. Slow movement, controlled movement, the kind that teaches the nervous system to trust the muscles again. That's why gentle exercises often work better than aggressive workouts for seniors. When movements are slower, the brain pays attention again. The muscles wake up gradually. The joints stop taking all the abuse. And over time, people often notice something surprising. They don't just feel stronger, they feel steadier, safer, more confident walking through everyday life. A lot of people think knee pain starts in the knees, but honestly, that's not always where the real problem begins. One of the most overlooked muscles in the body is a small muscle on the side of the hip called the gluteus medius, and when that muscle gets weak, the knees quietly start paying the price. I see this constantly in older adults. Every time they walk, their knees collapse slightly inward without them even realizing it. Not enough to notice right away, but enough to create stress, inflammation, and that deep aching feeling that slowly gets worse over the years. The body loses stability little by little. That's why rebuilding the hips is so important. One simple movement I really like is the seated band abduction. You sit in a chair, place a light resistance band above the knees, and slowly press the knees outward. Nothing aggressive, just slow control. It wakes those side hip muscles back up safely. Another great exercise is a gentle calf raise, with the heels hanging slightly off a step or thick book. That movement helps improve balance, ankle strength, and walking stability. And honestly, these small exercises matter more than most people think. Because when the hips and lower legs become more stable, the knees stop taking all the pressure. People start walking with more confidence again. Their steps feel steadier, and maybe most importantly, their risk of falling starts going down. One of the biggest problems I see in older adults is what I call sleeping muscles. These are the muscles in the back of the body that slowly stop doing their job after years of sitting. Long hours in cars, office chairs, recliners, even just spending more time resting as we age. Over time, the glutes and hamstrings start becoming less active. And when those muscles stop helping, the lower back and knees are forced to take over everything. That's why so many people feel that deep ache in the lower back after standing too long or bending over. The body is compensating. It's trying to survive with the wrong muscles doing the work. One movement I often recommend is the elevated glute bridge. You lie on your back with your feet resting on a cushion or low surface, then slowly lift the hips upward. It may look simple, but when done slowly, it wakes up muscles many people haven't properly used in years. Another exercise I like is a modified single leg hinge. Nothing extreme, just a slow hip movement while holding onto a table or chair for support. These movements help the brain reconnect the hips, legs, and lower back again. And honestly, once that coordination starts coming back, everyday movements begin feeling easier. Walking feels smoother. Standing feels safe. Even getting out of bed starts feeling more natural again. If I had to pick one movement that really changes how seniors control their legs again, it would probably be the slow step-down exercise. Not because it looks impressive. Honestly, it looks almost too simple. But that's exactly why most people underestimate it. You stand on a low step, shift your weight onto one leg, and then slowly lower the other foot toward the floor. And I mean slowly, 3, maybe 5 seconds down. That slow lowering phase is where the real magic happens, because the brain suddenly has to pay attention again. It has to fire signals rapidly to the thigh muscles, hips, knees, and balance system all at once just to control the movement safely. That's something fast exercises often fail to do. Quick movements usually let the body rely on momentum, but slow movements force the nervous system to stay engaged the entire time. And over the years, I've noticed something interesting. Seniors who train slowly often improve balance and control faster than people who rush through workouts. Their legs stop feeling so shaky. Their knees feel more stable. Even walking downstairs starts becoming less frightening. That's because the body is not just building strength. It's rebuilding trust between the brain and the muscles again. And for many older adults, that changes everything. One exercise I really wish more older adults understood is the farmer's carry. Because on the surface, it just looks like someone walking while holding a little weight in each hand. But in real life, this movement is incredibly important. Think about how often you carry groceries, laundry, bags from the store, or even just move around the house while holding something. Those everyday moments require balance, posture, leg strength, and coordination all working together at the same time. And when that system starts breaking down, people begin losing confidence without even realizing it. They walk slower, they avoid stairs. They become afraid of falling in public. That fear changes how people live. What I like about the farmer's carry is that it trains the body in a very natural way. You stand tall, keep your shoulders steady, tighten the stomach slightly, and walk slowly with control. That simple movement teaches the core, hips, legs, and balance system to work together again. And honestly, for many seniors, that's the real goal. Not bodybuilding, not lifting huge weights, just feeling steady enough to move through daily life without fear. Because when people regain confidence in their walking again, they often regain a piece of their independence too. One mistake I see all the time is people trying to rush the process. They feel weak, so they think they need intense workouts right away. But honestly, older muscles and joints don't respond well to being forced. They respond better to consistency, slow progress, giving the nervous system time to reconnect. That's why I usually tell seniors to keep the first week very simple. Just use body weight, focus on control, focus on feeling the muscles working again. By the second week, don't worry about adding heavy weight. Instead, try slowing the movements down a little more or holding the position for an extra second or two. That alone can make a huge difference. Then around the third week, if the body feels comfortable, you can introduce very light resistance, maybe small dumbbells or resistance bands, nothing extreme. The goal is not to exhaust the body. The goal is to teach the body how to move safely again. And honestly, the people who improve the most are usually not the people training the hardest. They're the people who stay patient and keep showing up consistently, even on the days they don't feel perfect. Before we finish, I want to leave you with something simple that can honestly make a bigger difference than people realize. When you walk, try slowing down just a little and pay attention to how your foot touches the ground. Let the heel touch first, then smoothly roll forward toward the toes. That small adjustment helps wake up the right muscles in the legs and improves balance more than most people expect. And there's another habit I really want older adults to stop doing. A lot of people rock their whole body back and forth several times just to stand up from a chair. I understand why it happens. The legs don't feel trustworthy anymore. But over time, that habit teaches the body to avoid using the muscles that actually need to get stronger. Instead, plant your feet firmly, lean slightly forward, and let your legs do the work slowly. Even if it feels difficult at first, that's how the connection starts rebuilding again. And honestly, I want you to remember something important. Getting older does not automatically mean becoming helpless. I've seen people in their 70s and even 80s improve their balance, walk with more confidence, and regain strength they thought was gone forever. The body can still adapt. The nervous system can still learn. Sometimes it just needs the right kind of movement and a little patience. So if your legs have been feeling weaker lately, don't panic. Don't assume your best years of movement are behind you. Start small. Stay consistent. Give your body a chance to reconnect. Little by little, those small improvements add up in ways that can truly change daily life. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I genuinely hope this video helped you feel a little more hopeful and a little more confident about your health moving forward. And if you found this helpful, please share it with someone you care about who may also be struggling with weakness, balance problems, or fear of falling. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which exercise are you planning to try first? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Senior Health channel for more calm, practical health guidance designed specifically for adults over 60. Wishing you strength, steady steps, and many healthy years ahead.